And as I begin to work in mental health, you think that you're going through something, it's people that's going through, way worse than you. And so it kind of helped me overcome my trauma and say, hey, and as I was going to work and I was helping people, that had been abused.
Welcome to the Pen by Design podcast. I'm your humble host, Destiny Jordan, and here on this podcast, we delve into the craft of writing, publishing, and tips and strategies of being a creative entrepreneur. So let's get started.
Full in Love, a poignant exploration of healing and from abusive relationships. She's from Orlando, Florida. She now resides in Troy, Alabama, infusing her purpose in every facet of her life. Tamyra's journey radiates empowerment, guiding others from victimhood to victory. A devoted wife to Timothy Davis, and a proud mother of 5. She is a nurturing grandmother. Beyond her writing, she empowers others through Team Power organization, which is impacting youth. And since 2013, Tamyra's motivation speeches have resonated with a diverse audience. A dedicated mental health professional, she is also pursuing a financial service certification. Amid her busy life, she enjoys crafting, reading, and cherished family moments. Excitingly, Tamyra will soon appear in the documentary A Black Mother's Love and Resist, embodying her selfless nature and charisma. Tamyra Smith Davis also embodies strength forged in adversity, reminding us that healing is a transformative journey. Her story kindles hope and resilience, illustrating the power of embracing one path to create a brighter and empowered future. Please welcome my wonderful guest right here. So thank you so much for joining us on the podcast. How are you today?
Yes, I'm doing great.
Wonderful. So all my listening audience, you can't see, but she has a wonderful shirt on of Fools in Love, which makes me a little jelly. So now I need to make sure I get a shirt for the podcast. Promoting. But let's go ahead and jump into all the fun stuff. So the first things first is what really made you kind of start on writing your book?
Well, I wanted to help other women. So I started writing my book and it was going a different way. And when I began to actually say, I'm going to write the book, starting the master class, it was like, no, don't write it on that. God gave me another vision. So I wanted to help other people. He said, no, you do a self-help book. So it's just not a nonfiction book on my life. It's more of me helping other women, asking questions, engaging the reader.
Question is what this one is. What was it like to write this type of book? What was your process and how did it kind of come about to write it? Was it done in a week or was it like took a couple months or days? The question with this one, next one was, what was it like the process of writing your book? Was it like a couple days or was it took you some time to kind of go through the material and writing it and kind of pouring it out?
Well, with writing the book, it only took me 6 weeks to write the book. To finalize the book, it took maybe a month. I went through the master class. She kind of pushed us, and I wrote the book in 6 weeks, and it took like a month for it to actually be finalized because I took pieces from my journal, and I just turned my journal into my book, so it didn't take very long.
Well, that's awesome. So you're already making the book in anyways.
I was.
So look at that. So even like journal entries, things that we think may take for granted, like if you journal or if you just write positive notes on sticky notes, all of that can really be a combination coming in to making your book. It didn't have to be so
Yes.
flossy and fancy.
Yes.
Well, look at that. That is something like to take notes, everyone. So your book could be standing right in front of you. Just need some help to kind of put it all together. So that also is pretty fast. But also then, how did you kind of find your publisher to help you bring your book into the world? So cool beans. How did you find your publisher to help you bring your book into the world? How did you kind of go about knowing them?
Well, my friend had wrote a book. She had just released and published her first book. And I met her at the store to pick up a copy of her book. And I was telling her how I want to write a book. I should write a book. I've been thinking about a book. And she was like, go for it. I mean, I got a publisher, they finna get ready to start a master class. And so I got in contact with her and it was go from there.
That's so cool. You just really never know about who's connected to
Exactly.
who. And
Exactly.
who was her publisher, if you don't mind me asking?
Destiny's Publishing Company.
Awesome.
Hmm.
So, yeah, anyone's looking for a publisher, heard one right here to get connected to.
Yes.
We never know. Sometimes publishers are actually a lot around, but it's always good to have recommendations to see who we're comfortable with than going to, I guess, more traditional route of going to someone like in New York or Chicago or something like that. There could be
Yes.
maybe some found in your hometown.
Yes.
So that is really awesome. So what was it like to work with your publisher? How
It
that
was challenging. It was very challenging because, like I said, she did the master class, and she told us that we didn't have to go through her for the publishing process, but she would like for us to. So, of course, you help me, I help you, and so I went through her publishing company, but it was very challenging, working with her because she was my coach too. She was my writing coach. So, she's like, no, 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 give me something else. This is due by this. And, she was very firm with us. She was very, and it made us know that when you want something done, you have to do it. So,
so that that opens up the world of writing for us. Like sometimes it's not like all thumbs or roses. You have like a year or two to finish your book. It's kind of like get it out there. Like it needs to be out here.
the readers need it. So, yeah.
Right, and that's such a mind shift when if like wherever your story is, you're thinking like, okay, it's just my story, and Peppy, there's 1,000 other stories like mine, and what makes the difference, and what all the difference is you of how you tell the
Yes.
story and how you go about with your story. So that's really the biggest thing. As biggest thing that I'm hearing from you is like, look, she believed in your story that
Yes.
everyone needed it,
Yes.
and like that's amazing. That's kind of just pretty that helps you get going.
Yes. Yes. It motivates you a lot.
It truly does, because when you get all these cut downs, because she was cutting everything down, you have to go back to the drawing board.
Yes.
But that's really cool. So, what was it like when? So, how was the process from the idea to a finished book? So, how do you get from you started from your journal entries all the way to you have a book in your hands now?
Oh, wow. It was, it went fast. It went fast. So the process, it was like, it's, it was just exciting. It was just like, wow. The process ideal to finishing the book was, I want to see the book. I need the book in my hand. Because see, you'll have a bunch of previews, you'll have like how it will look, but you like, no, I want it in my hand. So it was exciting.
Yay! Awesome. Or as like with the so from writing it, like what did you like it write in like a Microsoft Word or something like that?
Microsoft Words, yes,
Mm-hmm.
yes. She taught us all of that for us, like what we was gonna write it in, how we was gonna submit our assignments, and it was in Microsoft Word. So, yes,
So look at that from this Microsoft Word spread document. Now you're holding your own book that you have typed and tore it over in your hands.
yes,
And so that's one of those things where it's just like determination because as I've learned, I know maybe you have learned too, or you may have some tips that writing's not quite the easiest process of getting from what's in your head typed out and then out into the world.
exactly. Because you don't see but see, the goal of it is, if you're motivated and determined, you want to see the finished product. That's with anything you do in life. In order to see the finished product, you got to put in the work.
True words spoken. Easier said than done sometimes, but that's the truth.
Yes.
And so also biggest thing, so now that you have done this wonderful hard work, just for all of us to have the blessing to read your work, how do you promote it?
I promote my book on my website. I have a website. And I also promote my book on Facebook. I promote my book everywhere I go. Um, I do a lot of pop-up shops. I actually was a vendor at the Pike County Fair. So I do a lot of promoting, I have different groups that I'm a part of on Facebook, and I might say, hey, share this, or, this, just word of mouth, you know.
So that's the best form of marketing, is just tell everybody, and someone's going to come around and tell their friends and make it spread. But it's
Yes,
kind of like when it's your book, their publisher, nobody else is the biggest promoter, should be the biggest promoter other than you, but it's your book.
right, exactly, exactly.
So as you hear here, folks, there's a lot of places you can go to promote, and then just keep talking about it. Because truthfully, even though it's an old news to you because you've already written it. It's always going to be new to somebody else.
To somebody, yes,
So it's kind of
yes.
like just keep on going, talk to
And the
everyone.
and the title itself, like a fool in love, like, oh, she admitted to being a fool, So anyway.
So I can put my hand up and say, yeah, I'm there. I'm that.
Exactly.
So one thing was a wonderful type of kind of we get into the writing process, but now all the fun stuff. So the question here is, why write a book about love and trauma? It seems like polar opposite things. So why? So how they come together in this book and how you iterated it?
How I did was to help other women and let them know that true love does exist. Because my last chapter, I talk about the blessing. So I talk about how I did find true love.
That is so right, because it seems like we see on TV that all these romance movies are somewhere in the mix. Everyone falls in love, then you break apart, then you fall in love and break apart, and it makes it seem like this love is just out there in the zone, like it's not attainable to regular folks.
Right, exactly. Exactly. So that's why I put the love in there and also the trauma, because you can't leave out. Okay, if I'd have just wrote a book about the blessing, I can't leave out all the things that I done, like the being in abusive relationships, dealing with childhood trauma, what led up to me even wanting to fall in love with myself, because you have to fall in love with yourself in order to attract real love. And so that's something I learned on my writing process too.
So, ooh, that's like snaps right there, because that's really like that's why I really enjoyed your book. It's the core of it. Is that you really have to find you before you can even see the love that's out there for you.
There you go. Because you'll be blind. You'll think that, abuse is love because you're blind. You don't know what real love is if you don't love yourself. You're going to settle for less.
All right, and that's a real kind of a hard concept of how do you love yourself? Because then you get the opposite side, and now they're saying like, "Oh, you're so bougie, you don't care about nobody else, you're selfish." But then
That's
that's not the
fine.
case.
And that's fine what others think, because you rather for people. And see, that's the thing with women. We're always worried about what other people think. It's not what other people think. It's about me loving myself. So if you don't get on board, I'm sorry, because I love me.
Mm-hmm. And right, that is true. As women in general, we're so much of a nurturer and trying to keep everyone together and get everything together that it's easier for us to put ourselves on the wayside. It's just easy that way.
Yes.
And so you are really pushing a paradigm of like saying you need to know who you are before you go ahead and connect to somebody else, because you never knew who you were.
There you go.
I mean, folks, this book is gold over here. But also the kind of had a question of how can people heal and grow from past traumas? I know you mentioned some good nuggets from your own book, but how do you kind of explain to other people as you're healing and growing from maybe childhood traumas or things of the past?
Okay. How can people heal and grow from trauma? Is, for one, you have to trust God. You have to journal. When you journal, it's an outlet. A journal is it's a form of counseling. Like somebody's in front of you, but they're not. You're writing your thoughts, so you're releasing. So you can heal from it, because pressure busts a pipe. You have to release. You have to find a release. Also, affirmations. You have to believe those affirmations that you speak into your life. So those are some things that you can people can heal and grow from past trauma.
True, right there. Really is trusting Trusting God and journaling. I like how you said pressure. Like pressure is like a pipe; it needs to be released. Like it just
Mm-hmm.
needs to. You need to let it out somehow, or it comes out another way you don't want it to.
Yeah, anger. Yeah.
I was like, this. See, folks, it's really it's being. So it's kind of like you, but you have to make that process. You have to kind of say you're determined to do that thing, rather than it's going to happen to you. You have to initiate that change.
Yes.
That's sometimes a hard change to initiate.
Yes.
So I had another question. So how do people kind of fight for love? In the sense of like why? Like start trying to like maybe say they're in certain like a relationship like you had earlier and you're fighting to be that because you said that's the love. But then other people saying that's not it. That's not it. You need to fight the other opposite. You need to fight to get away to something better.
I think a lot of people fight for love is because they're looking for love. So they feel like they're not loved. So this person is showing them and they feel like they don't have nobody else. So they fight for that one person love, but it's not true love. People say love is not supposed to hurt, but when we bear a child and we go through little contraction, it hurts. So, love can hurt, but anyway, to get back on topic, people fight for love, but I think we're fighting for the wrong type of love.
The wrong type of love. So the thing is, so what people are like, okay, you've told me all this stuff that I need to go affirmations, positivity, journaling, and I'm fighting for the wrong love. So how do they know what's fight for the right love? What's the right love look like? And what's something maybe we could read or know of to like this is what love should be?
Okay, for one, in the book, I give you affirmations, I also give you quotes, and I also give you scriptures, if you're biblically, um, just different types of things. But the why I say that the main thing is why we fight for love and why is because we're trying to find love in somebody else that we don't even have in ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
So it all goes back to self-love. Because when you love you, you're gonna know it's real. You're gonna know the feeling is different, the mindset is different. So once you fall in love with yourself and you know real love, then you're gonna know.
Looking right there. So it's really all back to who are you before you are looking at any love. Who are you? What do you like? What is your temperament? All those things about who are you, and that's not so we're saying it's not selfish to know you, but it's really the best thing to selfless because you're helping other people understand who you are.
Who you really are, and you're not faking, because you can only fake a personality for so long and the truth gonna come out.
Ooh, that's the truth right there. Like you can only go so long. And then you're like, hey, this is a little different.
Okay, now this ain't the person but yeah.
Right. So one of the things I love how you really just right self-love and understanding you. So what are some critical steps kind of towards self-love? Let's say I read your book and I'm ready. So what are some steps maybe I could take to kind of get into the self-love?
Mentally take back your power. Mentally, you have to take your power back because you're powerful. No one was created to be weak. So you gotta mentally take your power back, right? And then you gotta let go. And you got to find the why. Why? Why am I attracting this type of love? Why? What is going on with me? So it all goes back to you.
So I love how you said take your power back because we're meant to be powerful. As far as that, you can like saying like you can make it on your own. You could live on your own. You can pay your own bills.
Yes.
You can
Yes.
like it's really getting that mentality of you are
Enough.
you are enough. Oh, look at that. Love that. And that's really just kind of a mental shift. That really like you are enough, you can do it. And so I've heard two sides of this. So I said I'm all for you are enough, you can do everything. The other side I've heard is sometimes like don't be so bad, don't still be so high to you cannot ask for help. So how do you kind of balance
Yes.
that?
Everybody need help. Okay, ask for help. That's the same thing as I said, like pressure bust a pipe. You have to release. But see, people are so afraid to ask for help because it's who can I trust? because a lot of people use your situation against you. So you go into a shell because you don't know who you can trust. So the thing of it is, you do need help from somebody. That's why I always say counseling is a good thing. I went through counseling because they can't tell nobody, and if they do, they lose their job. So it's an outlet. It's like you're pouring into these people, the things that you need to pour out before pressure busts a pipe.
That's very true. So look, everyone listening, if you feel in a situation, there is always help available out there, especially counseling. That is good. Because sometimes, we may feel like, well, aren't like, I need to keep it in the family. I got to figure out somebody in the family. And that's not always the case.
No, no. And I tell people, when they say, well, counseling, like going into an office, that's not always true. You can find a spiritual counselor. You may know somebody that say, well, hey, I talked to Mr. Johnny last night and he really did help me, or I'm just using names, and that person can counsel you, and that person can help you. And I have learned through this process, the best counseling come from people that don't know you or nobody around you. Because even if they was to tell, who cares? Nobody know you or nobody you know?
Mm-hmm. Right. So see, so that helps a lot right there too. Like, try to find someone that no one knows. Because it's like, then I also feel like you could be more honest that saying
Yes.
whatever the situation
Very
is.
transparent. Yes, yes, yes.
If I feel like my uncle or them like that, then I was like, I won't tell you that much.
It goes back to trust.
Mm-hmm. So let's see, that is one way to kind of help in that healing process.
Yes.
So my question is, what gave you the strength and courage to overcome your own trauma? Kind of how did you kind of pull yourself from that relationship?
I didn't go through one abusive relationship. I went through several abusive relationships, but I also talk about them in the book. I talk about 3 different relationships that was very horrible. But what made me overcome it was enough is enough. God actually blessed me with a job working in mental health. And as I begin to work in mental health, you think that you're going through something. It's people that's going through, way worse than you. And so it kind of helped me overcome my trauma and say, hey, and as I was going to work and I was helping people, that had been abused, sexually abused, drug addicts, alcoholics. As I began to help people, I said, you know what? You need to get rid of your own trauma and drama. You need to love yourself. You know how you just say you got to practice what you preach. You got to practice what you putting out there in the atmosphere. That wasn't me. So when I began to say, okay, now you telling these people to do this and do that, you need to take your own advice. So I began to take my own advice. I began to fall in love with me, coming up with a plan, and I'm thankful for it. Now I can spread love and help other people.
I was like, ooh, that's really good right there. He said, practice what you preach. He said, everyone's getting better, getting freed and delivered. He said, but I'm not. That's true. But I like how you said have a plan. So I give you an idea what was kind of your plan to go ahead and kind of move from where you were to where you want to be.
Okay. Well, plan is, okay, if you're in a relationship with someone and you love is, see, a lot of people in these relationships, the first relationship I talk about, I was actually in this relationship with this guy and for 8 years. And he almost put out my eye. I had to have emergency surgery and I paid for his bond. Can you say a fool in love? But I was so afraid to leave because you're just afraid. They have you so afraid. Don't nobody else want you. You can't make it without them. So anyway, what just gave me the strength is I fell in love with me. And I realized that I was addicted to pain. And when I realized I was addicted to pain, I was like, wow. And so I came up with a plan and steps of learning to love me. I said affirmations. I said these affirmations for over a year. I love myself. I am somebody. I have a purpose. I will not give up. I did sticky notes all over my mirror because I felt ugly. I didn't like myself. But anyway, and those things built me up every day. I began to follow motivational people. I began to get involved with more spiritual women, that tell their story. And it was just amazing how you can get your inner, you already have the strength, but know you have the strength by listening to someone else's story. And so that's what kind of gave me the strength to overcome and say, if this person can do it, I know I can do it.
So look at that. Awesome. So it's really just like small seeds every day makes big differences.
Yes. If you trust the process.
Ooh, I love that saying, but that's also a hard one to follow.
You gotta trust the process. It's in the mind, everything.
That is true. Everything starts with thought, and from there, you'll go for it. But it always starts with that one thought.
Mm-hmm.
So, was there ever like a time where these positive affirmations were really difficult to express, and kind of why? Like you had in the book said, "It's not my fault. I'm enough. I love myself. I am somebody. I have a purpose. I will win. I deserve happiness. I deserve joy." But there's time where that it just seemed like it was so far from you that it was hard to believe that.
Yes, because when you first start saying your affirmations, you don't believe it. It's like, they say it works, so I'm gonna try it. That's just like if you got a headache, I'm gonna try these Tylenol, but they say they work, right? So it's kind of like you don't believe it. But what I want to say is you have to trust the process because there's power in the tongue. You have to speak positivity over your life. You have to speak these things in your life. So as I was saying, like, it's not my fault. You always got that negative side saying it was your fault, in which a lot of it was my fault because I allowed it, right? But you have to say it's still not your fault for a person to mistreat you, if I make sense. You see how I used it? I used it in both ways. So, and am I enough? You better believe I'm enough, right? And everybody deserves happiness. So as I began to say these things, and I love myself, and I am somebody, and I began to pour these things in my spirit, I was like, you can do it. You can do it. But it was times where they was difficult because at first I didn't believe it. But then like I said, it took me over a year. And now you can't tell me that I'm not somebody.
So it's like keep it to moving. Like we just gotta keep all the way. Give yourself some time. Usually it sounds like for these things. So let's say I start doing them today and 2 months later I say it doesn't work. Well, you still haven't believed it, you
That's not
haven't
true.
trusted it. So you gotta give it some more time. So I would say
I'm gonna tell you, I didn't mean to cut you off. I'm gonna tell you what I done. So as I was saying these affirmations, I got into gardening, right? And I was like, I'm gonna plant me some plants. And I named the rose Miss Davis after I got married. And Miss Davis would not grow the first year. I'm like, what am I doing wrong? So I started asking questions and asking it what to do, how you do your roses. Your roses look good, and they began to tell me. And this year, Miss Davis looked good. But if I would have gave up, because I was gonna throw the whole, I was like, this ain't working. I was gonna throw it away, but I didn't. So I began to tell people when you plant seeds, that just like with these affirmations, you have to believe it in order for it to. You trust the process so you can see it blossom.
So I'm so glad Miss Davis came to life.
You see what I'm saying? She's so pretty out there.
Oh man. Let's see that. So that gives some time. So it's kind of like give yourself maybe 6 months, give yourself a year, give yourself some time to really grow into what you're dealing with, grow into like your different changes with your affirmations, or go into different people's, or even your counseling. Counseling doesn't work the first 3 times. It takes a little more
Right.
effort. So what was the best way to kind of heal after a loss? Because you do talk about those relationships. So also kind of like how they changed. So how kind of you have to heal after like, hey, this person's out of your life now, which is a good thing. But then sometimes you feel like you've really lost something because now you're like, what do you do?
You have to build your self-esteem, of course, and set boundaries and limits that feel right to you. Set those boundaries and stick to it.
So nobody can cross them, not even you.
There you go.
Mhm. So what are kind of some of the so after you leave that first relationship, what were some of the boundaries you started to kind of put in place going into your future relationship?
The physical abuse. I just wasn't gonna tolerate that.
Mm.
But it still was the cheating, the lies, the manipulation. But I did set boundaries where you wasn't gonna put your hand on me.
Okay.
The physical abuse.
Looks always a great place to start. So one of the things kind of question is that what kind of makes people want to stay trapped in their own trauma? Like why do you think people stay there in those certain places or even relationships?
Because at the moment they don't see a way out.
Hmm.
So they stay trapped.
So what I said with your book and really with your motivation speaking, you're always letting people know that there's always something better on the other side.
Always some better. But see, a lot of times we want better, but do we know how to treat better? You see what I'm saying? Do we even know how to
Ah,
accept better? So we got to fall in love with ourselves.
goes right back to you. That you are the core of everything in your life. Where does it go? Where is it going? What's it like? How does it grow? How does it not grow? Is really us
Yes,
sounding like as we begin to love ourselves, it kind of branches out roots and flowers from as we're loving ourselves.
yes.
So what were some of the ways that as you were blossoming, that you were kind of filling yourself back up with positivity and love to later on be married to your husband?
For the better, and I had to spend more time with me. And once you spend more time with you, you learn things you never even knew about you, and you be like, "Wow, how I didn't know that about me." That's because you wasn't loving yourself. You was what, like you said earlier, you was worried about everybody else, so you forgot about yourself.
So what were some things that you kind of did to kind of get yourself to like love you and be spend more time with you? Because someone may be sitting in the audience like, well, that sounds great. That's tomorrow
But
tell
what
me
did
all
she
these
do?
things.
Okay,
What did she do?
okay. I I actually went to. We have a lake, and I went to the lake, and I spent many days at the lake crying out, "Get the lake!" And I used to write stuff down that I wanted to let go, and I throw it in the lake. So once I throw it in the lake, ain't no need of me sitting here worried about it or spending so much time on it. I just gotta let it go. So I did that. Like I said, I did the sticky notes all over my mirror. And as things were shifting for me and changing for me, I would move a sticky note so I could see myself. I was so, disgusted with myself. So I didn't even want to look at me. So I would move a sticky note, move a sticky note, move a sticky note. I also have these motivational puzzles. So you tear the puzzle apart, and as you putting your life back together, you put a piece of the puzzle back together, right? So that was something that I did. And I actually made the puzzle. I make the puzzle. So I found things that I can do to build my self-esteem up. I went on the keto. Let me tell you, that's a part of it too. I don't want to leave that out. A lot of women, we get these relationships, we gain weight. I'm a stress eater. So if there's any stress eaters out there, then you can relate to what I'm finna say. So I got my heaviest was 246, 242, and I went on a keto diet. I had heard about the keto diet. And my friend at work challenged me 7 days to try the keto. So when in them 7 days, I lost like 10 pounds. I said, wait a minute. So it motivated me to want to keep going. And so as I began to get smaller and smaller and lose more weight, and I learned about endorphins. You release your endorphins. That's your natural happy, your natural high. So I began to spread the word and awareness on endorphins. Just go for a 20-minute walk, exercise, eat your favorite food. Just it's a lot of ways you can release your endorphins. So if any listeners, if they want to Google endorphins, that brings out your natural happy. So those are some things that I done to build me up. and let me know, like, hey, you on fire, come on. So once you start something and you start seeing the results, you don't want to stop.
So that is true. Oh, I said I'm have to take that because I do love a good walk. Just I don't know where I'm going, but I'm walking around the block or something
20
like that.
minutes.
Hmm. So that's always good. That's always kind of ways. Small things. It's the small things, finding things that work for you to help build you up. I like the motivational puzzles. Those are really cool. That
Yes.
you make them
Yes.
as well.
Yes.
I said we got to hit Miss Davis for these motivational puzzles.
Yes.
I didn't even know they had those. That's really cool. So
Well, it's
also,
basically something it's the idea I came up with. You just sub on the you put the words on the puzzle.
oh,
So I came up with it. Yeah.
so look at that. See, as like you got a whole, almost a whole, you really have changed your trajectory of your life, and birthing new
Yes.
ideas, helping other girls, teens. Like think about all the things you can
Yeah.
do once you really see and focus what your life is like. It's a powerful life.
Yes.
So what you almost answered my question was how has confronting your trauma really changed your life?
Yep. Yeah, I did. Remember I asked for the better?
So that is really
Yeah.
answering my question for the better. And we're just so thankful that you have shared your story with us to help so many other women and young girls. Like, there's always a better way of life.
Yes.
And so this has also been really, really wonderful having you, Miss Davis, on the podcast. But we got some fire round questions for you. You ready?
Yes.
All right, here we go. So, for the young writers listening out here, what is one piece of advice you would give them on their author journey?
Don't give up.
Because I think it's the easiest thing for writers to give up. Because these words are not working.
Don't give up.
Mm-hmm.
When you have writer's block too, just leave it alone. If you a writer, you're gonna have writer's block. Just leave it alone for that day. Or leave it alone for an hour, 30 minutes. Come back to it. Because you're gonna get frustrated and it ain't gonna make you even more madder. So, some advice could be, don't give up even when you have writer's block. Just put it down for a while and come back to it.
So that's also good advice right there, because usually the opposite I've heard from some authors, like when you get that horrible thing of writer's block, they may something like, I'm not a real writer, that I just can't finish the story, or it's not working how I want to. And that's just really part of the process. That's it. So that's really
Yes,
good. So what is one book you would recommend for authors or future writers to read?
of course. A Fool in Love.
Exactly. Which everyone's you're listening, it'll be a link in the show notes so you guys can get your own copy as well. And also, where can people connect with you? Like, so where can people kind of keep up to date by what you're doing, where you're speaking? How can we connect?
I have a Facebook page, Tamyra Smith Davis. I also have a website that when I have speaking engagements, I will put the flyer on the website.
And also, where can people connect with you?
They can connect with me on Facebook, Tamyra Smith Davis. I'm on Instagram, Motivational with Tamyra. Also, I have a website, motivationalwithtamyra.com.
So you heard it here, folks. You can always connect, be up to update on our motivational speaker engagements. Go say hey to her, and also keep update in her world as she travels around the world, bringing purpose and positivity to all that she meets. So thank you so much for being on the podcast, and we can't wait to have you back sometime.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening to Pen by Design. Links are in the show notes of all items mentioned in today's show. Don't forget to pick up your free self-publishing guide to start your author journey in the show notes. Pen your own story designed by you. Catch you in the next episode. Bye for now.